All right, so we will look into these 12 major hymns. There are more hymns to Pushan, to Adityas, to Mitra and Varuna, where Surya and Savitri is mentioned. But separately dedicated hymns are only these. So we have 9 hymns to Savitri, Savitar, I call him, and 3 hymns only purely to Surya. First, in the first mandala, in the 10th mandala, interestingly. Two of these Sri Aurobindo translated. I made the whole, I was preparing it for publication before, and so made the whole overview of what it is and why it is so important. But here we start with the hymn 35 of the first mandala of the Rishi Hiranyastupa Angirasa. As the very name of this Rishi says, Hiranyastupa, you recognize it is the pillar, the golden pillar. And Angiras is the flaming golden pillar, if I would translate as Sanskrit without referring it to the person. Such a name of the Rishi. So you can see immediately that Devata is in the first pada, Agni, Mitra Varuna, Ratri, which will be important for us, and then Savitar. And from the number 2 to 11, only Savitar. So the first and the 9th are Jagati, the rest is Trishtubhmita. I am often quoting this first and especially first Jagati for the sake of highlighting the meaning of Ratri, or the night in the Veda. Ratri is also a goddess, and Rishi is invoking the night. If we are avoiding the night, to even mention that there is such a thing, he is invoking her as a deity. Interestingly, Sri Aurobindo also speaks about the night from the beginning of his Savitri, which we looked into, and ends with the night. So it's the beginning of his epic story and the end. But not like a night per se, but night which is, carrying within herself, within her bosom, nurturing the golden light. A new dawn is being carried within. So she's pregnant with the new light. So it's not just the night, not as a negation of light, but as a carrier. So here we start. Havayami agnim prathamam suastaye. Havayami mitra varunau ihavase. Havayami ratrim jagato niveshanim. Havayami devam savitaram utaye. Now, Havayami, I call, literally, yes? I call to Agni first, prathamam. Swastaye, for swasti, for well-being. I call to Mitra and Varuna. Iha, here. Avase, this avatumam, yes, for increase and growth from the within. I call to night, who introduces all to the manifested world. Vayami ratrim jagatach niveshanim. Niveshani is niveshayati, the one who introduces inside jagatach, of the world. So she is the introducer of all the beings, all the souls into this world. She is the location of light. She is the one who is like the bosom in which the new light is being is growing. Vayami Devam Savitaram Utaye, and I call to God Savitar for power of growth or for the Uti. Uti is translated usually as the help, but it is not really help. It's from root U, the same as avas, the same as what we learned, avatumam. Yes, avas and uti are from the same root u, extension and occupation of space from within. This from within is an important indication. So ratrim jagatach niveshanim, Sri Aurobindo translates as the night which holds the world and all its unrevealed potentialities in her obscure bosom. So she is that bubble about which we spoke before, or that the holding the womb in which everything is being born. Niveshani, I just spoke about this. It is from nivish, to enter in with causative sense, to make somebody enter in, to introduce, to make enter and settle down. So the phrase can be translated, I call for night and introduce it into the manifested world. Basically, it is night which is holding us and calling to us, or into which we plunge into the night. And even as the souls, psychic beings, when before being incarnated here or before finding our womb in which we want to come to this world, Mother describes it, the experience as the, flashing light. Light is kind of blinking there in the darkness, telling us where to plunge. So we plunge into the darkness to that indicator light. So it's kind of interesting that we plunge into the darkness. It is our location. So Rishi invokes Agni first for well-being, Mitra and Varuna for protection and support. Mitra is the divine consciousness, Varuna the purity and vastness of the divine being. They have to protect and support us here because we are made of this stuff, of being and consciousness. Agni is, interestingly, is the one who invokes these devatas. And Ratri is to locate us in the world, and the divine Savitar for our growth in this manifested world, to support us in our expansion. The second verse again mentions the dark space and Savitar, who now himself introduces all mortal and immortal beings into the manifestation. And the second verse is kind of interesting. Let us look into it. Akrishnena rajasa vartamano niveshayana amritam martiyam cha hiranyayena savita rathena adevo yati bhuvanani pashyan. Expanding through, by, or through the dark space, introducing and determining the immortal and the mortal in manifestation, the god Savitar comes in his golden chariot, seeing all the becomings in this world. It is interesting that now Savitar is also called Niveshayan, the same as Ratri was before. By the way, the word Ratri is interesting in with one regard to that it is from root Ra to bestow, or Ra, which is the basis of shining. So Ratri is not dark, truly speaking. It is shining, full of light. How come that Ratri means night? Most probably it's a starry night. Yeah? Night, which is holding the light. There is another word, there's other words for darkness, but not Ratri doesn't mean this. Yeah? There is Nakta, yeah? Naktoshasa, night and day, or the dawn. And Nakta is that kind of non-manifested something. But Ratri is actually full of light. Sri Aurobindo speaks of two nights, as we know, yes. One is the starry night in which we rest. We bring all our experiences of a day into the night. That's why we sleep. We introduce everything what we gained or experienced during the daytime, during our progress of consciousness into the night. We must bring it into the night because it is for her purpose we are here, for her sake we are here. We have to transform the darkness into light. So with our introduction of our experiences into the darkness, we slowly, gradually transform our unconscious spaces, yes, which we occupy. And in that sense, we charge it more and more with light of consciousness. So the darkness itself is light, which has forgotten its origin, supreme origin. And so now slowly it starts remembering its origin. And in this way, we redeem the fallen light. Night is the fallen light. And it has to catch up with the light which is introduced into it. And slowly it is becoming illumined. So, interestingly, Akrishnena Rajasa Vartamanah. He, Savitar, Avartamana, comes back or returns by the dark space. Krishnena Rajasa, literally. He, or I'm saying expanding through the dark space, but actually literally Avartamana. He comes back. He returns. Yeah? Niveshayan, introducing, making Amritam and Martiyam, mortal and immortal, introducing into this darkened space by which he returns. Returns where? It is not said where. To himself. He comes back to himself, Savitar, and while coming back, he introduces all the mortals and immortals into this movement. Hiranyayena savitarathena. So, and by this golden ratha chariot, Savita, Devoyati, he comes to us, the God, Bhuvanani Pashyan, seeing, overlooking all the worlds, all the becomings he sees while moving, while coming to us. Seeing is also a very important word. Seeing means consciousness, yes, bringing consciousness into action, making it, making oneself aware of what is there.
Vladimir, I missed that part. Having introduced all mortals to what?
Into this movement of himself. Through dark space he moves, he returns, introducing all of them, dragging them in, so to say, dragging them in away from the transcendental into this world as mortals and immortals. Because there are two parts in us. One is mortal, other is immortal. Yes, one is undergoing change in time and space, our bodies, and the other, the physical, vital, mental bodies, and the other is the soul, which is immortal. So both of them are being introduced by his movement through the dark space.
So to both ourselves, mortal as well as immortal within us.
Right. Let us say within us. It would be easier to understand, yes. But otherwise, all the gods and all the other creatures, yeah,
Mm.
if you wish.
Mm. So what is the difference between Savitar and Savitri?
Oh, Savitar is the Lord of the Sun, yes. We will see more of it, yes.
Okay.
And Savitri is the daughter of the Sun. She's his action. She is the goddess Savitri, long E, yes. Savitar, Savitri, short. We see his name here.
Mm.
Is masculine, yeah? Savita, shorter first. And Savitri has long A and Tri long E. It's like Nadi Shabda, Savitri. So suffix tri can be used like matri, pitri, and so on, bharatri, yeah, duhitri. Suffix tri is met in Latin and English, yes, the same. Giver, receiver, mother, there. So this is three suffix. Three suffix is the suffix of the doer. Doer is the same actually. Doer, giver. Yeah. This three suffix, which is literally there is a root three, which means crossing or bridging one point with the other. And this three from here, Tara, we have, yeah, Tara as the means for transportation. Transportation, trans is the same root, yeah, to cross. So this three suffix, like with the root su, to distill or to squash, to put into, to bring to birth. He is the one who is manifesting, yeah, manifesting power from the transcendental. He takes transcendental light and introduces it into the darkness, squashing it, as it were. And this suffix tri in the feminine gender becomes tri, long e. We have Gaia tri, Savitri, and its feminine gender, but long e. Not all the words, such as matri, mata, or pitri, or duhitri, they don't become tri because they are very ancient words. They stay with the same tri suffix. In the Veda also, very interestingly, this three suffix can be also of feminine gender and masculine gender both. Like Mata, Mata is the mother. Usually in the classical Sanskrit, in the Rigveda, we meet Mata as the creator, masculine gender. Because suffix three really doesn't have gender. It says that the one is doing that root, su or ma or something. And ma is to create, to measure out, to shape. So shaper, creatrix or creator. Actually interesting, creator, also tar. It's from create. So he is with his golden chariot, he moves through, returns to himself through these dark spaces, dragging into it mortals and immortals, and comes to us, overseeing all the becomings. Overseeing brings light of consciousness into every movement. It is interesting now that Savitar is also called Niveshayan, placing, settling as the night in the previous verse. In the previous verse, she was the location, the locator. Now he is introducer. He's placing in the manifestation of the divine both immortal gods and mortal creatures for their interaction, as it were. As we know that the interaction between gods and man creates this sacrifice, which is slowly bringing the divine into manifestation. This
So the
function of...
gold,
Huh?
sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt. The golden chariot,
Hmm.
the golden chariot is this light of consciousness. Can we see it by that?
It is something in which he moves. It is like his transportation, if you will. Yeah?
It's not got nothing to do with the light of consciousness. It's only a
Oh
trans.
yeah, it has to do everything with the light and power and movement, and it
Okay.
it is his body in this darkness, as it were. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Well,
you.
how else we would speak about him moving through the darkness?
Yes, true.
So
Very
we
true.
need some kind of location within or around him. Some so around the body, the real body, we have a house as a location which is more static, and we have more dynamic is the ratha, the chariot. Yeah? It's the house on the wheels, as it were, in which he can be at home and at the same time move and do the thing. Of course, these are all symbols, archetypal symbols, which are the same valid for any tradition or any vision. And by the way, even physically, when they appear as such, car, automobile is the house on the wheels, you know, where you are at home, you are comfortable, everything is yours. It's an extension of your body, but now you move. It's like a second layer of your body, as it were. So this function of Savitar, manifesting the divine by bringing all creatures together, is central for understanding of his role. For it is by the dark spaces that he returns to himself, Akrishnana Rajasa Vartamana, placing all in their right place during this self-discovering return. Compare with Ananda circuit by the mother. Her mother speaks about this additional Ananda, which is gained through manifestation, through gaining the oneness or the self-identity through unity. So this identifying oneself through unity is creating additional bliss. Yeah. She calls it Ananda circuit. And then there are more details. Yati devav prayata, sorry, pravata, yati udvata, yati shubhrabhyam yajato haribhyam, adevo yati savita parava topa vishva durita badhamana. The God moves by the downward path, and he moves by the upward. He moves upward and downward. And by the two horses he moves, who is of the sacrifice. Or by the two swiftnesses, by the two currents he moves, up and down. From the beyond, the God Savitar comes to us. He comes to us from the transcendental world, from the beyond, destroying all the difficulties on our path. Apa Vishwadurita Badhamana. Apa Badhamana, removing, destroying. Duritani Vishwani, all the obstacles. Durita, difficult to go. Vishwani Duritani, all the difficulties in the movement he removes. This particular feature of Savitar, to move in two directions, is presenting him as a creator who supports the sacrifice, which is of the double movement and exchange of consciousness between the higher and the lower hemispheres. But himself, he comes from the beyond, being neither in the higher nor in the lower hemisphere, but in both, and even beyond both of them. I'm not going into it now. It is neither Vidya nor Avidya, but the one who knows both. He is knowing him. Savitar here represents the creator. The two horses also might symbolize the double character of his manifestation, representing his double mastery and presence in the light and in the night. We will come to two horses. There will be description of them. So when he comes from the transcendental realms, then all the crookedness of the night gets straightened up. I'm using the same imagery of the Veda. The night is making things crooked, the light is straightening up everything, makes it obvious, clear. Here we come to the horses and his chariot. There will be description of them, quite interesting, very symbolic. Abhivritam Krishanaich Vishvarupam Hiranyasham Yam Yajato Brihantam Asthad Ratham Savita Chitra Bhanuh Krishna Rajansi Tavishim Dadhana. Savitar has mounted his chariot, which is covered with pearls. His chariot is full of pearls shining and has a golden pole, golden center of the galaxy, being vast and of the universal form. So his chariot is of the universal form. You were asking what it is. It's the whole universe. He is full of varied rays of light, who is of sacrifice. Yajatah moves towards dark spaces, establishing or bearing power and might. The last phrase can be also translated as establishing or holding mightily the dark spaces. Rajansi Tavishim Dadhana, holding with power or mightily to Krishnani Rajansi, dark spaces. So he has kind of possession of the darker spaces by his light. His light is the power which holds the night, darkness. It is something like a grip. The light is the grip to hold the darkness. Otherwise, darkness falls into oblivion. You cannot hold the darkness. Darkness is not, yeah? But it can be held by the light. Moreover, light itself is the innermost quality of the darkness. Yeah? Darkness is the light which forgot its supreme origin. So that supreme within holds this whole being. It's quite interesting because the same we find in Savitri, where Sri Aurobindo says that the night could never have been saved if being had not plunged into the dark. So this night could never have been saved. If there is not being plunging into the dark, the light in the dark, then there is no night. Yeah? Night is not. Yeah? It is something which denies consciousness. So how can we at all speak about it? There is no night. We cannot know about night or have any relation with the night if the being is not there. So the light is holding the night. That dark matter is held by the light within, and we know about dark matter only because the light is there. Otherwise, we would never even know that there is such thing. The last, yes, I read this. For it is because of his presence that the dark spaces have at all their might, and night becomes mighty also. It is because he is there, hidden within them, dark spaces, that the falsehood can act with power. Falsehood always imitates the truth. Did you notice this? It wants to be true. It wants to be recognized as true. It doesn't want to be recognized as falsehood. It doesn't play itself, so to say. It's kind of interesting about falsehood. It always imitates the truth. It wants to resemble the truth. So falsehood can actually act with power because the light is there of the truth. It is falsehood only on the surface of its being. In the depth, it is the luminous truth hidden by the darkness. Therefore, falsehood can act on the basis of truth only. So it is that which holds the night. Yeah? Quite a thing. Yeah? Savitar is a little bit different from Agni. We already went somewhere into the cosmic, beyond, above. Yeah, we are not dealing with the calling or flaming or burning, something else altogether. Here our horses. Bijanan Shyavach Shitipado Akhyan Ratham Hiranya Progam Vahantach Shashvad Vishach Savituch Daiviyasya Upasthe Vishwa Bhuvanani Tastu. So beautiful. Diction is so beautiful, royal. The white-footed bay horses of the Lord Savitar, carrying him in the chariot with golden forepart, the golden front. They see, the horses see, and by seeing manifest widely all the beings who are born here in the material body. For all who have entered this manifestation are forever held in the lap of the divine Savitar, together with all the worlds of becomings. They are all in his lap, upasthe. Upasthe is only in his lap, in his most intimate proximity with, the closest to him. Vishwani Bhuvanani stood Tasthu. It is a statement that all the manifestation of the divine, the container and the contained, is in care of Savitar. It is he who is manifesting all the beings here with his two powers, brown and white-footed horses. They can be brown, golden, darkish, bay horses also. And all the worlds are in his lap. Why the interesting description? Shitipada can be either white-footed or dark-footed. Shyava can be dark with white feet. So their bodies are darker and their feet are whiter, lighter. There's this distinction made between the bodies and the feet and the hoofs, I guess. Padas, or feet rather. Legs, in this case. They don't have feet, they have hoofs and legs, yeah? Horses. So their legs are of different color from the bodies. So this difference is kind of important because they will cover the light and night, the light and darkness. So in that sense, they have to be fitting for both. They are of double nature, as it were. They connect the two, the darkness and the light, these horses. And now we come to a very interesting part which becomes philosophical and important for us to understand. The whole structure of the universe comes in. Tisro dyavach savitu dva upastham. Eka yamasya bhuvane virashat. Anim naratyam amritadhitasthu iha bravitu yautat chiketat. There are 3 heavens of Savitar. 2 are in the lap, in his lap, and 1 is in the realm of Yama, the home of heroes. It's a dubious translation, the home of heroes. Nobody knows what it means, Virashat. It's just guessing. As on the pole of the car, all the parts are fixed. Similarly, all the things which are immortal rest on him. Here, the one who perceives it should speak. Actually, it's not like this. Iha bravitu, yautat chiketat. May the one who knows it should speak. Is there anyone who actually knows about this? He should speak. There's nobody here to say it, because there's nobody who knows it. So there are 3 heavens of Savitar, and we will go into it maybe next time. I will kind of give you the whole scheme of why 3 heavens and why 2 are in his lap and 1 is in the heaven of Yama, and what is this Yama's heaven. I think it's an important thing, but we do not have time for it. We will start next time with this verse, and it will be the whole metaphysics of the Veda, all the worlds from the supramental down. All right. If you have any questions or... Yes, Savitar is a bit different from Surya. You see, Savitar is involved light of Surya. Surya is the body which is transcendental, but his involvement is Savitar. It is that which is pervading night. It moves to itself through the dark spaces. It is the light which is seeking its own divinity, its own source here in this darkness. And by redeeming it, by transforming it, it returns to itself. It is the sacrifice or transformation of the world is taking place by the movement of the Lord Savitar. And we know also in Indian tradition later that the time of Savitar is between the dawn and the disk, when the disk is of the sun is visible, yes? When the disk is not visible yet, and the dawn is over already, that is the period or the time of Savitar. It's kind of interesting. In that moment, they recite Savitri mantra or Gayatri mantra. But once the disk is visible, it's already Surya. It's not Savitar. So in that sense, it will tell you something, that Savitar is action of Surya, but not the disk. The disk is the body. In other places, it will be spoken directly. He is Jagatach, this Vashi, he is the Lord of the creation, and Surya is Jagatach Atma, Atma Jagatach. So he is the self, the being of the world, the Surya, but the Lord of the world is Savitar. Lord means in the sense of action of consciousness. Being and consciousness, the Lord and the self. Being is the self, consciousness is the Lord. Sri Aurobindo speaks about these 2 all the time. There are only 2 realities, the being and the Lord, or the self and the Lord. So Savitar is the Lord. In my studies, I came to understand that Savitar is actually the supramental overmind, let us say. It is that the highest overmental realm, which is the first action of the supermind pervading the darkness, meeting the dark spaces. It is first outburst of light into the darkness. Interestingly, I here give this Sri Aurobindo's explanation, explains the function of the illumined mind, and because these are the three heavens of Savitar, the world you saw above the head was the plane of the illumined mind, which is a level of consciousness much higher than the human intelligence. It is there that the divine light and power come down to be transmitted to the human consciousness, and from there they work and prepare the transformation of human consciousness and even the physical nature. There will be many reflections. I have the whole introduction to Surya Savitri. This is what we will be looking into next time. Maybe I will send you the file with the references that you can read and prepare yourself for this, because it's a little bit maybe too much. But once you are prepared, then it will be easier for you to. I was preparing this long ago for publications, but it never came because it was not needed. Once I understood what is what, I lost my interest in continuing the kind of final thing. But please look into it. If you have time, it's 10 pages. And then next time we will kind of go slowly through the verses. And these verses are quoted here, you can see. All right. Okay, I will stop here, and I kind of want to hear you because I'm already something you have to say.
Vladimir,
Mm.
Vladimir,
Yes, I'm here.
can I please ask you to talk a little bit more on how falsehood acts with power that it takes from the light? How can falsehood take the power from light?
It imitates it. It wants it. It wants to be it. Yeah? But it doesn't know how to do it other than in the falsehood way. Yeah? It claims things. It is partially true. It's always partially true because it refers to the truth all the time. So, but it refers to it in a way which truth is not. Yeah? Or it misplaces it. The
Yes.
context, the timing, it misplaces its substance. It speaks about truth, but
Mm.
in terms which are not true.
Yes, I mean, I'm reminded about death. When he's speaking to Savitri, he's talking partial truths.
Oh, yeah.
Some
Even
of the
even
things that,
fundamental truths, yes, but
yes.
partially in terms of the bigger picture, of the final, the absolute picture. So his absolute is not reaching to the absolute of the divine. For some reason, he either didn't know or he plays the game that he didn't know. I think he didn't know sincerely, because if he would play the game, it would be different. But something was not given to him because he belongs to the first creation, the God, the death.
Mhm.
And the first creation, the conditions were those which he fulfills.
Mhm.
The conditions was to were to manifest the divine. So he was the first manifester of the divine life, and they fell into the opposite gradually, and life, immortal life, fell into the death. But truly speaking, he doesn't know other dharma. Yeah? He doesn't have. So when the second creation came and the light was found, greater light, greater consciousness, greater bliss, and was has plunged into the darkness to precipitate it, to bring it back to its own awareness, so to say, to redeem it from its fall, as Mother says. Then this was a new condition for him. He dealt with it in the same way as he dealt with everything else. He didn't know about that intention of that light, which came later, to build the divine here. Yes, that's why he denies it. And it is actually, this is the beauty of this wisdom of the divine, this economy, divine economy, because otherwise it would never happen, really. He has to have an absolute belief that there is no possibility for anyone to stay in this time and space other than absolute divine. And by that, he cleanses every time and does not allow anything imperfect to stay in time. So the divine is forced to apply more and more light into it to grow in the power and capacity to finally stay. It's kind of a very interesting dialectics.
It takes Savitri to a whole different level, the understanding of the latter half of Savitri. If you understand it in this light, it
Yeah,
takes it to a whole different level,
yeah. We will
especially this debate.
right, and this debate, and we need to have this Vedic background. We will see how useful it is for us. These two languages, Sri Aurobindo is using a Vedic language for his Savitri. We people who didn't study the Veda really do not have that access to it. So they will always interpret it in the post-Vedic kind of paradigm. Which is also true, but it is not totally true. You know, it's kind of like, let us say, 40% true. 60% is hiding somewhere, and that is Vedic. We need this Vedic paradigm. It really helps to understand everything: darkness, light, dawn, flame, word. Who is Savitri? Who is Savitar? What she represents here? She represents the supramental manifestation, yes? And her marriage with Satyavan is supramental manifestation. It's such a beautiful symbol, yeah? The Divine Mother and the soul here of humanity, who is the Lord, they find each other in time and space. Finally, he comes back to his own Shakti, yes, here in manifestation. And boom, you have finally everything comes into light, life, eternal. And that causes the immortality. Immortality is the outcome of this marriage.
Vladimir, I just wanted to comment on the two images that you use that actually make sense to me. One is that Savitar is invoked in the time between the dawn, the first appearance of light, and when the disk of the sun is visible in that space. And the fact that Savitar is the first foray into the overmind, so into any kind of darkness from the light. Those two images make a great deal of sense to me.
Yeah, didn't think of it, but yes, everything comes in a kind of, once we know the right, how to say, key, we have right keys, somehow we can build and rebuild pictures, and they will always come meaningful after some time. So we have the elements which allow us to be free in thinking and free to view and discover the world. This is the most beautiful part of this study. Yeah? It is not dogmatic. It's not that you should remember what is what and how it is. It's not like this. It's rather more suggestive to you to discover the truth. We are looking for the meaning of this world, yeah? And we're using this symbolism. So this freedom of inquiry is important to keep. We should not fall dogmatic or mythical or, religiously following who is who and what is what, because it is not helping us. We need to understand who we are. What is this world about? We have to keep that free, empty space always, yes? And once these symbols play, and they are playing so beautifully from the Rigveda and Savitri, two languages, if we combine them, we will have much more powerful tool for self-discovery, really. We need the Veda. Yeah.
Vladimir, how I understood that idea about falsehood needing the truth in order to survive is somewhat different. So I kind of imagined a village which has 100 people. Okay. And out of them, 90 people speak untruth all the time, and 10 people speak the truth. So I was thinking that if all the 100 people speak untruth all the time, it will be a completely chaotic village making no sense to anybody. It will be of no use to even the 90% who are living there. So there has to be 10%, 20% people who are speaking the truth. Then only the lives of those 90, 80, 90 people make sense. Otherwise, it will be just nonsense. So falsehood needs the truth in order to survive. I mean, this is how I understood it.
Absolutely.
And
The same we spoke. Actually, I said the same thing what you are now saying. Only I say that 98%, 90%, and 10% are within us. It's
yeah,
me myself. Yeah, it's not like some village and there's other people only untrue. No, those 90% which speak untrue, they untrue is true but misplaced. Yeah? The problem is that falsehood is always operating by truth, but always, yeah. So, but it always puts it into the context which is not applicable, and in that sense, it is falsehood. You cannot lie, really. Simply lie is impossible because whatever you would say has its place somewhere. Only you placed it wrongly. Yeah? So to say, that's why in Sanskrit they don't have the word for lie. There is no word for lie. And only asatyam. Asatyam means misplaced truth, or truth which is non-actual, which is actual in other context, but not here. Yeah? You say the truth, but the truth which doesn't fit here. It fits into another context. Yeah? And it is very funny because sarcastically we have this, when somebody does something stupid, you say, oh, how clever you are. Yeah? So why this happens, this is a joke kind of, you're clever or you're wise when somebody is totally an idiot. That means this again, we are referring to the misplacement. That's what I want to say. Because the person can be wise, and maybe it is even wise what he says, or clever, but not in this context. If we find the context for it or the place for it, it will be active, it will be actualized. You remember in my Sanskrit class, we looked into this myth of creation, which is in a Mahabhashya. Most probably you know already, and I spoke about it. It's an amazing myth where Indra created the worlds, yeah, and how he created. He was learning about the word from Brihaspati. And Brihaspati was speaking the word. There were many words. He was teaching him Sanskrit. Indra is the Lord of the divine mind, and Brihaspati is the Lord of the divine word. So, and Indra understood that he will never learn Sanskrit from Brihaspati because whatever Brihaspati says is applicable to that context in that moment of time. So it is true to the power. Consciousness and power go together always, as is in supermind. In supermind, consciousness and power are correlated. Yeah? They are fully 100% in agreement, in harmony. So how can you learn such language? Whatever he says will be there, and it is infinite and it is eternal. So you will never end your studies. So you will have to sit there forever, listen to that word, which is true to that power. So he had to do something with this. So what he did, he stopped that infinite flow of speech of Brihaspati, cut it into pieces, into grams, by his mental categories, which we know as categories of language, grammar, and created grammar. And by grammar, he could captivate the word. So what it means, so now you can take the portion of the word which is true and apply it to the context, to the power which is not. So there was a gap, a delay. The space and time was created by this. Yeah? So now the lie becomes possible. You can say the truth which is not applicable to this context. That means there is a delay, space. And that is what is the basis of all falsehood. We live in the darkness. Darkness is falsehood. Darkness is that gap in which this light, reaching out to another ray of light, to join their party, to come together, to be true. But around us, we are surrounded by constant question of proper placement. And this question of proper placement becomes the most important issue of our life. Correspondence of consciousness and power. Can we really make them? Can we make power the most efficient, the most charged with consciousness? And we can see it everywhere. People speak approximately. They approximately put their expressions which are not fitting into the context, never fit. And they try to make it fit. Fake it till you make it. Yeah? They fake, and then finally they made it. It happened. The world is built. The world is true finally after all my fakings. It's amazing in what world we live, if you think of it. There is no absolute lie or there is no absolute truth in this world. It's not possible. There is a dynamic truth. Dynamic truth is the truth of the moment. And it's interesting, we spoke about the moments, that this world is created every moment and destroyed every moment from this supramental point of view, as Mother said. We are constantly new people, new cells, new beings, only we do not know that. We think because of memory, we drag it through. But if you think of this as a moment of time, present moment of time is always fresh, always new. That's why the presence is so important, the present time. Yeah? Because in that moment you could feel that you are fresh, new. You do not belong neither to the past nor to the future. You are just created, newly created. And it is very refreshing. So in that sense, dynamic truth exists. That's what I wanted to say. Dynamic truth is reconnecting with that moment of time, to be true in the moment of time when it is needed. And this is the one thing I learned in Auroville, is really something amazing. That there is always a truth in a particular moment of time. And you have to be honest enough to open to it and to wait for it, to find that connection and to express it. Everything else is just something else. It's again, fake it till you make it. Yeah? Plans, projects, 1, 2, 3, making in the mind, everything imposing on the reality all the time, imposing whatever you made believe truth is not really true.
Vladimir, I'm thinking of Heraclitus River into which you cannot step twice.
Mm.
And I'm also thinking of something like a soap bubble in which the only reality is the changing colors on the surface. The size of the bubble, the fact that it is growing or larger, makes no sense actually. What makes sense is the changing colors, and one cannot fix it. Uh, One cannot have the same color. It's always changing as it grows. Sorry, I just couldn't express it, but something like that is the image that I'm getting of reality. The reality is not the bubble itself, but the surface, which is always expanding in time and space. Sorry.
Until it pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking about popping up. What will you do with that thing? What will then be the reality? Most probably that empty space within the bubble was the true reality, and all that on the surface changing colors was only a kind of dragging over the moment of truth, some kind of memory of the infinite being. You know? Dragging memory. What is memory? Memory is such an amazing thing. If we are constantly new and fresh and only present time exists, what is this memory about? What is this dragging in time, the modality of yeah, here Uspensky is coming to the mind, yes, indeed. um, with his idea of spaces being connected in time, so to say, this space and this space is never the same. This is another kind of puzzle, yeah? Because I'm sitting here in this space and I think, yeah, I'm sitting in the same room and we are flying 1 kilometer, 1 million kilometers per hour. So I am totally in a new, unknown space every moment of time. I'm totally renewed every moment of time. And everything is new and unknown. And so, what is this memory which is dragging me from my childhood to this being who grew up, became gray, and tries to understand what has happened to him and to the world and where are we going all? Something has happened. And Uspensky says time has happened. Time. So time is something very tangible, it's a power, as Sri Aurobindo says, Shakti, which pulls out the being, that bubble, changing colors. Yeah? That is time, dragging like memory through, yeah? Holding on to it as long as it can. In the Veda that we call these tanu. Tanu means stretching. And our bodies are stretchings. They're stretchings in time and space. We are constantly stretched in the space and time at the same time. This is something that has to do with memory. I never could figure out what memory was. If you have some ideas on the memory, Yeah, we can say it's imprint, it's this, that, but that is not an explanation, yeah? Fundamentally what it is. Why it endures, why it endures. There's something which wants to endure, yes? Something which wants to be forever, but can't for some reason.
In Savitri, he says something that longed but knew not how to be.
Mhm.
You
Maybe
know,
that is the fundamental, the seed of memory, longed but knew not how to be, yes, learning how to be.
Vladimir, so memory is some kind of best substitute,
Hmm?
some kind of a second best substitute
Hmm.
to the notion of our existing. Since we cannot tolerate the idea that we are constantly being created and destroyed, we need to have this tangible idea of continuing in space and time.
And it is, in a way, what makes this perception really uninterrupted, in a way? There's something, consciousness makes it held together, yes?
The idea of myself and of others.
There is some power which holds it, and that is Shakti, yeah? That's what Sri Aurobindo says, time. Time
I
holds.
was just thinking that memory, at least in my life, it seems to be the foundation under which my sense of self exists. It's the basis that through which I know myself, because I'm a collection of the memories that I currently have. And to live in the exact present moment is a fantastic opportunity to choose what exactly we want to become. Because if we access the divine in us in the present moment, then we're transforming who we are and what we'll become. That will change our foundation.
Very nice. I love this idea of freedom. What is freedom? It's actually freedom from memory, freedom from this imprint. Do you want to drag those memories from the past as yourself into the future? No, thank you. But no need,
I'm sure we can help it.
if it can help. But I don't think so. We gain experience in the soul, we become wiser, become more capable. Yeah, that's enough. That memory is enough. So nature is holding it for the capacity, so increasing capacity of the being. That's why most probably memory is needed. Otherwise, we will be incapable every time, every moment. Yeah? So we need to learn certain skills. Body has to remember how to drive the car or bicycle or play piano and so on, how to speak language even. Can you imagine? We will start learning every moment language from zero. So it needs to endure for some reason, for some activities. Nature is this holding this imprint or this faking till you make it. Yeah, this is nature doing, and offering it to the divine. Is it good? Good enough? Look at it. Yeah, give your sanction. Enter with your consciousness. Charge it with your presence. The moment he withdraws, she drops everything. Everything disappears. But as long as he is there, perceiving her activities, she's continuing building it up. I'm just speculating now, thinking of memory in a new manner, because I have no idea what it is, truly speaking. Most probably it's impossible to answer. It's some occult thing which exists by itself as an extension, tunnel, stretching in time and space. We do not know what time and space is also, but what to say about memory then?
it seems like memory is somewhat akin to the ego self of, knowing whether something's going to hurt me or it's going to affect me, that we have to draw on that memory to say what our relationship is in that ego world. It also seems to me that to be in the present moment, at the time that you are in the present moment, you have to completely let go of memory. You can't drag that into the awareness of the present moment. They seem mutually exclusive. You can come back to whatever is the perspective we have where life is like a narrative. But if we're in the present moment, I don't think we can have that baggage.
Very nice. So coming back and leaving it behind and coming back. So switching off for a while and becoming that again in the moment of truth. And then again coming back and remember, oh, so much to do. And this and dishes and that and that. And shopping and eating and sleeping. And sleeping feels so much to do. And then again switch off. Yeah? And then again you are in that present moment. Absolutely. So we are kind of in between these two realities, constantly traveling. Yes, Deepti, you wanted to say something.
Exactly. Selvi spoke whatever I wanted to say. Because I was thinking, if you, like Heraclitus, if I'm really in that moment, really enjoying, not even enjoying is not the word, I'm experiencing it completely, then there is no chance that I will go back into my memory either about the past or even want to look at future. But I rarely do that. So I don't experience anything completely in the moment. So that wanting, the state of wanting takes me back to the memory. Oh, I wish that comes back, that particular time, that particular memory. Otherwise, I wouldn't look at it. So it's like the desire and the fear also being connected to that memory.
Very
I don't know
nice.
how, yeah.
And not only, but also work. Our work is in this time and space. So we have to come back to this body. We have to attend to it on the ground of its own, laws. We must do it, even if we don't want to. It's so much more pleasant to switch off, and disappear in that moment, present moment of the truth. But we must come back. And that is something, how to come back without really damaging much of that connection. Yeah, this is the question, most probably.
If I really enjoy today's breakfast, I don't need to remember any previous breakfast or do not need to plan for. No, no, I'm serious actually. I do not need to plan for any future breakfast. So I think this is what we are we don't really know how to enjoy our breakfast. That is the central problem, I
Right.
think.
Right. If you would enjoy properly your breakfast, you would never make a good breakfast ever, because every breakfast is can be properly enjoyed. So you would not make no plan for improvement. So here we are. We have to join Prakriti's efforts, yeah, because we are here to sacrifice. We are with the spirit here to build up the container for the spirit, yeah. And that container is not perfect, and it needs attention. It needs this extension and change in extension. This is where memory works most probably, in Prakriti. And it reminds me of what Mother said beautifully, that she was in this experience, it's an agenda, of Sat Chit. Sat Chit. She said it was so overwhelming, pure being, divine being, and a consciousness with absolute purity. And she said, if I would stay a little longer, the world would change and never be the same. But then, she says, I remembered that I have an appointment downstairs. The people are coming to meet me. And she stopped that experience and went for the appointment. She said, the appointment is more important. And that shocked me so much. And I remember all the time this, Well, how that appointment can be more important than this? This. And this is our discussion today. Yeah? It is important, it seems. We're here for that appointment and not for that experience.
Vladimir, even for truth, you talked about memory. Now, even for truth, I was thinking like if we really stick to observed reality, whatever we are observing, I mean, however subjective it is, and just stick to that, the dynamic truth will always be there, but somehow we are fearful. I mean, at least I'm talking from my experience, that that exaggeration and all this comes into that distortion. The distorted reality is what takes us away and gets into the falsehood. But at the absurd, okay, I'm hearing this, there's a sound at the back. If I'm going to speak that, then whatever the truth it is only for me, it might not be your truth, but yet it remains truth, isn't it? But
In that moment,
rarely we get to do that.
yes. In that moment, right. It is not the final truth. Many times we want to come back to that truth we experienced, and when we come back to it, it is not the same, it seems, because the time has gone. It's like you cannot enter the same river twice, yes? So you got it, you have to go for the next. But I'm thinking about the utility of memory, which is amazing now. It comes slowly, that most probably we will have to be able in the memory to hold the eternity. Yeah? Nature has to embody the divine, and that means memory becomes real. It's not memory anymore. It's the power of truth. Can you imagine? It's no memory anymore. It's full of the divine consciousness. Every memory is the power of manifesting the truth infinitely and eternally. This is most probably being worked out. The embodiment in the substance, uninterrupted trikala drishti, in holistic time, infinite time. Okay, they're already knocking on my doors. Thank you all and see you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.